Here we go. Testing, testing. All right. Make sure the cap's straight. All right, guys, we're having a good show for you today. Special time Tuesday. We usually have them on regularly on Wednesday nights at 8, but um, we accommodate to our state representative Eddie Morales with District 74 to go ahead and come on. Of course, we wanted to bring you guys this interview, so we went ahead and sure enough changed our date up a little bit. We will still be having. We will still be having our regular show on Wednesday. On Wednesday, tomorrow, I should have some interesting stuff for you guys from the mayor candidates, um, from the City of Eagle Pass mayor candidates, where we went to go ahead and ask them for their political finances from the city secretary. So we should be having that ready for you guys tomorrow. We don't want to hold you back anymore, so we're going to go ahead and bring out State Representative Eddie Morales. He is waiting for us already to bring him on. One thing I do want to say, guys, is that what we're gonna be discussing is what we're going to be discussing with him are the House bills, recent House bills that he has filed for the state. There's a whole slew of them that we sent to him, but we might not have enough time to go through over all of them. So we do have some specific ones that we do want to speak with him about. So that's what we're going to go ahead and bring you guys. So without any further ado, our Texas District 74 State Representative Eddie Morales. How you doing, Eddie?
Hi, Isaac. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you good.
Awesome. I like your flag back there, man. That's nice.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it. Maybe little adjustments here and there, but we try. I had to turn off the light that I had right now. It just gave too much and gave a shadow with the cap. I can't lose the cap. I don't know why, man. I just don't want to lose this cap, right? But I want to thank you for coming on. I know we had talked about this, and you accommodated with us, try to schedule it with us, and we know you're busy, so we went ahead and made a special show for Tuesday so we can have you on. So we really appreciate it.
Yeah, no, thank you, and thank you for understanding how busy we are up here. And I know that we had spent, I think, a week and a half, 2 weeks trying to figure the good date here. And I had some other events going on this afternoon, but I think this is important, and having that conversation with you is definitely important, and visiting with the community members so that they can see all that our staff is doing. So thank you for providing us that opportunity.
No, absolutely. More than anything, that's what we're trying to provide here with, this newly created, the Rising Texan. We've been about, a month and a half, not too long, but just to inform the community and keep the community up to date about what's happening at the local level, at our, also the District 74, since that does correspond with the City of Eagle Pass, Maverick County. And eventually, we'll be able to hopefully get Senator Gutierrez and also Tony Gonzalez in here to, inform the public of what they're doing as well. Now let's go ahead and get started, right? We don't want to keep you too much time, but one of the things that has come to light, and I'm sure you've heard about it and everything, is this HB 4820. And what it does have to deal with is the creation of the new district attorney office, the 479th district attorney office, right? And there's been a little bit of I don't know if it's confusion or what's going on. We did have, I'm not sure if you're aware, we did have the district attorney, Roberto Serna, on last week's show. And, he addressed his concerns about what was going on with this bill and how it was addressed. We did tune in also to the county commissioners, Maverick County Commissioners Court. And there was just some kind of things that didn't add up. And that's the reason why we wanted to reach out to you, of course, because we're not just trying to, one way or the other. We want, what's going on. And we want what's best for the community, of course. So I want to go ahead and leave it to you if you want to explain anything about that or say anything about that right out of the gates before we get into any further questioning.
Sure. As I mentioned to you briefly, I think a number of weeks back, we had an opportunity from the chairman of the jurisprudence committee. He sent out an email, and that's how all this came about. He sent out an email and asked, is there any other bills or any offices that you all would like us to consider in the jurisprudence committee? Please send us that information. There's some other information, certain types of case numbers need to be included, and also like a formal resolution from the county in which your new office or your proposed new office, whether it be a district judge, whether it be a district attorney's office, whether it be a constitutional county court at law, any one of those was up for grabs. And so we took advantage, knowing, you got to remember, I've been the Maverick County Bar Association president for 6-8 years probably that I've been there. And so I just last week stepped down. I asked the officers to please hold a meeting, just because there was so much work up here that I don't think I was giving it the attention that the Maverick County Bar Association deserves. And so I'm glad to see that we have new officers there. They'll do a magnificent job, and I'm glad to see that it'll continue going forward. We left the Maverick County Bar Association with over $6,000 in the bank. That's a new one. That's actually never happened, because we actually would move forward in processing that. But that's what created it. A lot of conversations going on in the 21 years that I've been an attorney and doing this. And that's what strikes me as a little bit odd, because approximately like 10, 12 years ago, District Attorney Bobby Serna had been discussing at that point an opportunity to have another district attorney office. And so I don't know what went on between that period and now, and definitely the cases and the number in the population, which was much lower back then. Not that please don't take it wrong. I'm not trying to throw Mr. Serna under the bus. I've known him for, again, 21 years. I think the level of work that he's been able to do is formidable, along with Mr. Little. And all those years, everybody knows that Mr. Little was a workhorse there in getting all those prosecutions. And he's, Mr. Serna has a good staff right now, very good staff with, with assistant district attorneys. And I just felt that this was one of those issues that have been presented to me, as well as forming a constitutional county court at law to reduce the level of work that our 2 district judges are having to face. But when I looked more into it and trying to get these documents, we became aware that if we formed a constitutional county court at law, all of the funding would need to come from that county. And so that's why we decided to take a little step back on that and say, okay, and we don't have a courtroom either. And so in understanding the costs associated, if we were to go down that road, I said, okay, well, maybe this is not something that we can address, but we can definitely address having a new DA office set up just for Maverick County. So instead of having one servicing 3 districts, right, Dimmitt, Zavala, and Maverick, we would have actually now 2 district attorney's office, one for Maverick and another one for Dimmitt and Zavala. And I don't see, it'll create more jobs, it'll create more opportunities, it'll have more staff. I understand there's some concerns over budget issues. I've looked into it because we had to send this material to the chairman, right, of the jurisprudence. Right now, Maverick County spent $420,000 approximately for the DA office that's there. And that includes the district attorney, an investigator, an assistant DA, and a secretary. And there's all like supplies and all that stuff. But we know that there's more than one assistant DA, and that's great because they also have to represent Dimmitt and Zavala, and there's heavy workload also over there. So I just thought, hey, this is something that's reasonable. Now, there's this, let me show you. I don't know if we can share the screen here or not, but in visiting with the border prosecution unit that was set up only to service those areas in and around border communities, they have grant funding that is approximately $300,000 that you get from the border prosecution unit.
Okay.
And Maverick, Dimmitt, and Zavala are all in there. I don't know where I'm pointing. There you go. They're all as part of the border prosecution unit. So we would be able to tap into those funds for Maverick County to lessen the overall expenditures that the county commissioner's court has to appropriate to the DA right now. And it would also create an opportunity by which Indemit and Zavala, the DA for that area, would also have an opportunity to request border prosecution grant funds also.
So, but in creating this Maverick County and it being separated, so then that would leave Dimmitt and Zavala County by themselves. Is there a need to have a DA just, solely for them too?
There's discussions that have taken place over including Frio County as part of Dimmitt and Zavala. And let me show you, there's 254 counties in the state of Texas.
Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. And so I have a list of, by population, the first 70 counties here that only have one DA for that county. They don't share it with any other county. And you start off with Wichita, which has a population of 1,300, much smaller than Maverick County, much smaller than Dimmitt or Zavala. And Wichita is afforded one DA. And it goes all the way, I cut it off at 70 because that's where the Maverick County's population sits. So there's 70 counties with with smaller populations than Maverick County. And yet they have one DA, only one DA, and they don't have to share it. And so to answer your question, I think that there's more than enough, especially with this grant funding that would be made available, where Dimmitt and Zavala could share. Obviously, they don't have the amount of case load as Maverick does. Maverick is where the brunt of the work comes from. And Dimmitt, Maverick, and Zavala for the DA. But I think that both can coexist. And not only the good thing is that the numbers show that 70 other communities with population numbers lower than Maverick County have one DA, and they don't have to share them.
You mentioned the grant funding, and that's a good mechanism to go ahead and try to offset some of the costs. Is there do you have a cost estimate as to how much it would cost for Maverick County? Because you did mention the cost would be up to Maverick County to come up with this funding. Now, I know you have the mechanism for the DA's office.
Let me clear that up. For the Constitutional County Court at Law, which is we were trying two different things, right? For that one, the county has to come up with everything. The good thing is for the district attorney's office, if we were to set up a new one, the district attorney's salary is paid by the state. That money is sent from the state. But I can envision the district attorney in Maverick needing an investigator, needing an assistant DA, needing a secretary. Very similar to what Maverick County already apportions. And it's 420. In the end, it comes out to 420,000. That's what they apportion for the DA's office in Maverick County. Obviously, this district attorney, investigator, assistant DA, and secretary, they're also used by Dimmitt and Zavala. And we all know that they have more than one assistant DA. And they're doing some great work, but it would create an opportunity for either, Mr. Zapata, who's an attorney and is an assistant DA there, Mr. Iracheta, for them to be able to run for the DA if they so wish or desire. We have a number of younger attorneys, Rick Ramos' son, Ruben Ramos, and Ricky Ramos. If they wanted to be able to do it, I don't get to choose who sits on that DA office. I just come up here to the Capitol, hopefully try to pass this bill. And if it gets passed, then it's an elected position. It's going to be what who the community wants there. So I'm not holding this for one individual or another. I'm just basically giving an opportunity for the DA's office to flourish and to service Maverick County, because we understand that there's been a heavy caseload. We understand that there's a backup of cases. Some of it, yes, is attributed to the pandemic, but in using them, we went to the Office of Court Administration to get the numbers on them. And the latest numbers that they could give us was up to 2019, because that's the way the Office of Court Administration runs. By the time that they get all of the information sent in from every one of the DA's office in the state, it takes them time to compile this data. But even in 2019, pre-pandemic numbers show that there was a heavy active pending cases in Maverick County, for example, on juvenile cases. You look at they're listed by population each county. Right above it is Hood County with 61,000 in population. Right above Maverick, they have 3 active pending juvenile cases. Maverick has 92 pending juvenile cases. Right below it is Anderson County with 57,000 in population. They have 0 active pending juvenile cases. That just goes to show. Then you go over to the criminal cases. Maverick has 393 active pending cases. These are active pending cases that have been filed that have not been formally adjudicated to the end. There's still a lot of other cases where the assistant DAs are working them up and actually trying to get to the point where they file formal charges. And again, this is not in any way, I want to make it very clear, this is not in any way throwing the DA's office under the bus or any of the employees. I think what they've been doing is phenomenal for the amount of time that they've had to live and work this way. I'm just trying to create more opportunities for them. That is all. And have any one of them that wants to run for that seat, I mean, go at it. It could be theirs.
No, and that's understood. I don't think we're not trying to insinuate that seat is held for anybody in any way, shape, or form. As a taxpayer, my question comes as far as the balance of creating a whole new office compared to adding maybe additional positions to take care of some of that need. It's my understanding, and looking and comparing the budgets from past years, they've had a steady, set number of positions that it hasn't increased recently in the past couple of years. And of course, you have the numbers from 2019, which I think can, reflect that there may be some kind of backlog. But my approach, and I say it as a taxpayer, what would be the difference as far as, hey, let's go open this whole new office versus adding supplemental employees or, applying for grants to go ahead and, help that need there.
So and to answer that question, you already spent, as a taxpayer, we all spent $420,000, por ahí, más o menos, to fund the DA's office. If we could do that and now also qualify for a grant under the Border Prosecution Unit, which I understand is roughly around $300,000, why wouldn't we do it? And knowing that we are the fastest growing community in South Central Texas on the border. The numbers, I mean, look at where we've been when both you and I used to work in the city not too long ago, and even before then when I first started practicing. Look how much more we have grown, even more so than Del Rio. And Del Rio has an Air Force base. Think about that. That creates a $2 billion economic impact for that community and the region. And yet, not having any of that, look how much we've grown. And so we think that even better days are ahead for Maverick County, and we need to be proactive in making sure that we are poised to take advantage of it. I don't know if this opportunity was going to present itself to us from the chairman reaching out to us. And that's how it came. It didn't come trying to take something away from Mr. Serna or anybody else there in the DAs. This was just an opportunity that was presented itself. And I think from what I understand from listening to the other representatives, it's based in large part because of the stimulus monies that are coming in from the federal government, where now it allows us as a state to use some of the state resources, some of the state funding for other projects.
Now, I know I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. I know you had a list as far as the population and how it went down to about Maverick County was the 70th on there, right?
No, no, no. There are 70 counties with populations smaller than Maverick County, and they only have one DA.
Now, how is the crime rate in those other populations? I mean, being a border town, we do see a lot more, because of the immigration issues going on, and other certain things that maybe other counties are not having to deal with, that we are actually, taking head on. Is that included in the numbers as well? Whenever we take in the hand, or is that just population?
That's a different from the Office of Court Administration. But for example, it talks about Wichita being there, and let me see if I can find Glasscock, or I may have to do this on the fly. I may not, but I don't know. To answer your question, I don't know what the crime rate is in those other areas. I can try to use these two different sheets that we received from Office of Court Administration to see how many pending juvenile cases and criminal cases they have. And maybe we can do that if you go on a break or something. I can find it. But to answer your question, I wouldn't know where, let's say, Wichita, Glass Rock, Oldham, Crosby, Castro, Coleman, where they are in relation to Maverick County or Demeter Zavala as far as numbers.
Okay. Yeah, it was just a question I thought, because like I said, I do know, living here in the border, we do have a difference in crime rate, especially with all the things that are going on, and different, just the demographic of being a border city. It changes the whole dynamic compared to other counties that may be a little bit more inland. But
so you are arguing that the numbers would be higher because we're in a border community. We have more issues that we have to deal with. Is that what you're saying?
Well, I mean, I'm not arguing. I'm just asking that if that was figured in there, because I know since you're speaking about there's other counties that have their own district attorney, but my thing would be, as far as was there any crime rate figured in there?
Correct. I mean, and I agree.
Yeah.
Maybe I used arguing as a wrong word, but you were trying to support the possibility that, hey, the border community has more crime and we should factor that in. And I agree with you. I think that that's why the Border Prosecution Unit was set up, to especially address border counties, so that they could get a little bit more funding because they understand that it's unique. So I agree. You're right, and I agree with your assessment. And I think that the state legislature, when they set up the Border Prosecution Unit, they had the same vision in mind. And you're right. If there's more crime, especially on the border, then more of a reason for Maverick County to have its own DA.
Okay. Another thing, and I don't know if we ever got back to, was there a set estimate or an idea of how much it would cost for the offices? I know you were talking about it, but
yeah, I envision that it would be very similar to the 421,000 that is currently appropriated. The only thing is, either right now and for many years, the county has been paying 420,000 out of their pocket from taxpayer monies, right? But what if we're able to avail ourselves and qualify for this Border Prosecution Unit grant, and they give us something close to 300,000 when the budget is 421,000? That'll really be helpful to the community. And then now we can use that extra money to fix the roads, to do some other important stuff there in the county.
Oh, okay. I mean, yeah. A big thing that I saw, Eddie, with this one, and it just it came to me, and it kind of looked like a weird thing, is that of course you filed this bill, and it was 2 weeks in advance from when the Maverick County Commissioners Court actually got together and to make a resolution in support of it. Now, you mentioned that we worked together in the city, and yes, we did before. And a big thing there with the city, and as I go with any other entity, might be a kind of a chain of command, or a process of doing, these kind of things. I would think the horse should become, before the carriage,
Mhm.
And it wasn't a little late for Maverick County to come back 2 weeks later on and try to submit a resolution, after the bill was submitted.
So it wasn't late. You got it. And I think we briefly mentioned this, if you recall, in our conversation when we were discussing what dates to propose. If you remember, we were on a deadline. There was a deadline to file a bill, and that was March the 12th. That was a filing deadline, right? And so we had to scramble. When we had that opportunity from that email communication from the chairman of jurisprudence, we had to scramble. And initially, we thought, let's do both. What could hurt us? If they say no, pues they say no. But let's do the Constitutional County Court at Law, which I heavily support. And I know that this is something that the Maverick County Bar Association members also heavily support. And let's also do the new DA office just for Maverick County. When we heard back, oh, by the way, if you do a county court at law, you have to find a courtroom or build a courtroom. Plus, you have to pay all salaries, including the county court at law judge, from the county funds. And then that's when I'm like, wait, hold off. Let's hold off on that, and let's just push for the DA, since we get the DA funding from the state. The DA salary comes from the state, and then we have access to some of these grants. So that's why we were scrambling, Isaac, and I think I mentioned this to you. We were trying to do it on as fast as possible and not lose an opportunity. And it's still not guaranteed. There's still not a guarantee that this bill will pass. It has to go both through the House and the Senate. So we're at the preliminary stages, but one of the requests from that email from the chairman was get me a resolution also. And the deadline was this past Friday when we had to submit that documentation.
Yeah. Did mention that.
And that's why we were pushing Commissioner's Court. This was not an idea. I know that on social media, there's been some stuff out there that this was at the doing of one particular county commissioner or the county judge or certain individuals. And that's not the case, man. If anybody, blame me. I'm the one that had these conversations in the past with a number of other BART members. I'm the one that decided that sounds great, especially when it's being offered to us as a possibility. What do you want? I mean, you don't usually get that from chairmen and committees. What do you want? We can add it to if you submit a bill. We just took advantage and we scrambled, and we had to go through the Ledge Council and tell them what we needed. So because they're the ones that draft the bill draft.
Yeah.
And so they did it for us. They knew that we were on a crunch deadline, and they were able to get it out quick enough for us to file it.
Well, you mentioned so this was supported by the Maverick County Bar Association. I did.
Wait, let me clear that up. They have not taken a vote. The Maverick County. This is individual members that I have spoken to, both as an attorney for 21 years and as the president of the Maverick County Bar Association. Whenever we've had meetings, these have been some of the discussion points that have been addressed individually by one or more members of why don't we have another DA office? Why don't we have another county court at law office? What can you do? Well, now we find ourselves in a position where one of your members is actually here, right? And can actually try to do something to effectuate that change and continue to grow the community.
Yeah. And the reason why I asked, there was a concern from a county commissioner that, there was no letter of support and there was no documentation at the county court. And I'm not afraid to say it. He's a relative, and I'd like to bring that out. That way there's no anything. Commissioner Reese, he did bring up as far as there was no letter of support at the time of the resolution being proposed.
Yeah.
And that was the thing where, I mean, because I just caught you say about the Maverick Bar Association. So I wanted to see if there really was, if there is the support. Because, if there is the support from the legal community, then I totally understand why you would go and file this bill. There's no, ifs, ands, or buts about it, right? Mm-hmm. But when it was mentioned there, and when there was opportunity for the, support for the resolution, apparently that there wasn't, anything there at the time.
Correct. And there's not, because I had already filed the bill, because we had to scramble again at the 11th hour, trying to get it in, trying to work through the Ledge Council. So that's why we filed it before the filing deadline. And there was no need to me actually go and like we have now. Now I've sat down and calls with the new officers, new president, and explained to him, we're not able to get the county court at law because it's a heavy expenditure for the county. but I'd really like to get the support of the bar members to see if they want this or don't want this. And then on our private social media page, they put it to a vote. The last that I look at it, nobody had voted against it, and everyone, you know how you have the right on Facebook to do like a little voting format, and everyone had voted in favor. I didn't vote because I was trying to, as a state rep, I was trying to just stay back. But yeah, that's why there was no letter from the Maverick County Bar Association, because we had already filed the bill. And I think Commissioner Ruiz has done some great work. I applaud him for what he's done. He supported my campaign. Heck, he even went down to West Texas, man. And he took the time, and he sent me a very nice text message the very next day after the vote, and just telling me that he could not vote in favor of it because of his concerns. And we're not, I mean, we're good friends. And as good friends, even you and I, Isaac, I mean, we're never going to see or have a meeting of the minds on 10 issues out of 10. You know, there'll always be 1 or 2 or 3 where we just don't see eye to eye. And so I don't fault them for it. I know this was done at the 11th hour, and hopefully now that we have more of the documentation, he can see and reevaluate it. I took the time to call him. I called Judge Saucedo to explain why the resolution was important. I called Commissioner Jerry Morales, which, again, you know, for those that don't know, he's my uncle, and so he's also a family member, and I'd like to let your public know, your viewers. And I tried visiting with Commissioner Olga Ramos. She was busy. She told me she would message me when she had an opportunity, and then, you know, time ran out and she had to go to Commissioner's Court. But I took the time to call también Commissioner Cantu and express and explain to them where we were coming from this and why it was being done, you know, at the kind of like at the 11th hour, because we were provided with this great opportunity that I wasn't going to say no. If I think you as the constituents would be more upset at me if I said, well, I need to go take it to a vote, or, well, let me see when the Maverick County Bar Association is going to meet again in a month or 2 so that they can vote on this issue. And so I made a executive decision for right or wrong. And some people, I understand, are not happy with that, even though the way I see it, it's creating, instead of 1, it's creating now 2 different offices with more opportunities, including for Mr. Serna. I mean, if he wants to, he would be able to run in Maverick if he wants to stay in Maverick. If he wants to, he's a native from Dimmitt and Zavala. He would be able to run also over there.
Yeah. No, yeah, and since we're talking about uncles, you can ask him. He'd be the first one I would call if any issue that I had, and chew him out real quick. He knows that.
Yeah.
But one of the things that you did bring up was the county court of law. Mm-hmm. Now, I do know, in looking a little bit into it, not too much, there hasn't been much progress as far as the county court of law. There hasn't been too many trials, jury trials in recent years. Now, I mean, again, I just, from what you're saying, wouldn't it be reasonable to try to help that situation out as well, or provide more focus into that? You know, being that we haven't had a jury trial here in you know, several years, and I did have a concern from another news media that had mentioned to me personally that he had a relative that in 3, 4, 5 years hadn't had a certain case tried or anything, and I was like, wow. I mean, it just brought to my attention, and I wasn't even aware of that until they told me that. And that's one thing that you mentioned, and you said that the cost would be a lot higher to do something like that.
A constitutional county court is different from the county court that you have right now in Maverick. As an example, Del Rio and Valverde, they have a constitutional county court at law. They have their own court, and they get their own funding and their own grants for technology, for equipment. I've been there. Judge, as bar president, I traveled down there with Judge Flores at the request of I think it's Judge Gonzalez that runs the Constitutional County Court over there in Del Rio. so that she could see all of the technological equipment that they have and how they work the system over there. And we also visited the district attorney's office. I'm sorry, the district judge's offices there in Del Rio, so that before she actually assumed the position of district judge. And let me tell you, man, the Constitutional County Court, their setup, their equipment, their software was amazing. It's better than the district judge courtrooms that they have there in Del Rio. It's better than the ones that we have in Maverick. And so what it'll do, the county judge in a constitutional county court at law has to be a licensed attorney. So now you're arguing cases to a judge that is an actual attorney that more than likely will have a better understanding of the law, will understand the predicaments that come from deciding one way or the other. And I think we're at that point where we were at that point many years ago, where we need that court of law. And that will allow whoever sits as county judge, that will allow them to just refocus all their efforts as to the administration of the county, so that they don't have to be dealing with sitting as judges on these misdemeanor cases in county court.
And you feel that we're at that point where that kind of needs to start shifting that way?
Correct. The issue is finding the funding, and visiting with both district judges, with, again, individual members. And again, through that little voting tally that they did on Facebook, everyone seems to agree that we need to. And what it does also, it has additional levels of jurisdiction. So you're not just dealing with the misdemeanors. You can actually bring certain type of family cases, probate cases, small personal injury cases. So then that even more lessens the burden on the two district judges, because now they don't have to deal with some of those cases that can fall in the Constitutional County Court at law. And again, think about it. It creates another opportunity for the county, the county judge. That's an elected position. And so we now create opportunities for the county judge, for the Constitutional County Court at law, to run, get some of this new young blood of members to be able to hold those positions. And the county attorney will be able to deal on the same level, because they're both attorneys, whenever they're presenting cases and doing something. And then also the defense counsel will be arguing the case to a county judge that is actually an attorney.
And so right now, the way it's set up, because I'm learning right now on the fly while you're telling me, it's not that the county judge wants to, or he can, or what's the situation there? Could you elaborate on that? Or
no, I haven't gotten like a negative on the existing county judge. It has to be something that we pass a bill over here to allow for a constitutional county court at law to be established. And so for one reason or another, it's never been an issue, and it could have been a funding issue, because as soon as I tried to say, hey, let's throw in a new DA office for Maverick and let's throw in a new county court at law also, I was faced with, hey man, your county is gonna have to foot the bill for the entire expenditures on that budget. Are you sure you want to do this? And then when you go back, then you're visiting with the district judges, are like, okay, you also need a courtroom. I'm like, well, am I giving them a problem rather than solving? Now, what we want to do, hopefully, if I'm still here in 2 years, right, because we only meet every 2 years, it'll give us enough time to see where we can find grant funding, to see where Maverick County is, so that they can start socking away, hopefully, some money for a courtroom, or find some way of figuring out how the courtrooms can be shared amongst all of the district judges and the county court at law judge, and just give us some breathing room to be able to figure out. But is it needed? Yes. Do we have the funding? No. Can we find ways to getting it? That's the goal, both from my office as well as locally, visiting with both district judges and finding ways how we can do that, and also county commissioners court, and seeing if they can start socking away some money.
Okay, awesome. Okay, it brings me back to my another question. We had the district attorney here last week. He says he was never consulted He was never spoken to about this, and it seems like it was kind of a problem to him, enough so to where he wanted, to speak about it. And when we saw the press releases come out, that his office provided, that that was our kind of concern. And like I'll default back again to the way we used to do it with the city of Eagle Pass. I mean, a chain of command type of thing was a thing that you can literally lose your job for, get reprimanded for. So what was he contacted, or what was the issue with that? Because like I said last week, he was here and he said he was never contacted, Eddie.
He's 100% correct. And again, the only thing I can tell you is attributed to, at the 11th hour, we were provided with this opportunity and we scrambled to do it. And ultimately, my constituents did not elect me to appease one elected official. And to try to, if he sees this as, I want to preserve what I have, I don't want anybody to mess with what I have. If that's the way he sees it, unfortunately, I'm not that type. And I'm going to be doing what's best for the community, what's best for the years that are coming up. I'm being proactive, and I'm not here to appease one elected official. This, I think, and some of the posts that have been going out there, I mean, this compadrismo and all that stuff needs to end. We're too much of a big city, and you saw it in our election too. We got to the point where it was the will of the people and the voice of the people that wanted to be heard as far as what they wanted as their state representative. And I'm just trying to show every day and day in and day out that hopefully they feel they've made the right decision, that they sent somebody from Eagle Pass to the Capitol that will be working day in and day out for their best interests. I'm here to advocate for the needs of the community, not the wishes of elected officials. And I believe that if he's still feeling that way, although I see it as creating an opportunity for him to now he's even in a better position where he can choose, do I stay and run in Maverick, or do I go and run in Dimit and Zavala? And of both of which, I'm sure that he would have success. I mean, he won this last race. And so I apologize if he feels that I disrespected him. That was not the intent. We were just scrambling to get this bill filed.
All right. Yeah, I mean, we wanted to ask, it might be a difficult question and everything, but I mean, he was out here and he did say, he was never contacted. So, and that's why we try to have this platform for our community. It's not only, hey, I'm not going to come and ask, Eddie to speak his side, of course, especially when someone else came and spoke their side of what transpired. But moving on, I think we've already been pretty much on that bill a lot, and we don't want to take up too much of your time. Maybe we can get in another one. Another one that I did notice was HB 3966. This one has to deal with a judge, of course. I don't know if you want to explain it, but it'll allow a visiting judge to, after retiring, become a visiting judge, even after being, publicly reprimanded or having any kind of issue before, and it won't affect them serving as a visiting judge in other areas. Is that correct? Did I get the?
You did. You get so somebody that's a district judge, and so long as they've served, I think it's 10 years or more, they end up with tenure, and then if they want to retire, they can always go and serve as visiting judges. The one exception to that is if you've been under the current law, if you've been publicly reprimanded or censured in the past, then you don't have that opportunity. No matter how small the issue was, or the fact that happened 10, 15, 20 years ago, you're not allowed to serve as a visiting judge, even though since then, let's say, you were a young judge, you didn't know, some of the filing requirements or something. And I think that this just presents an opportunity for everyone to have a second chance. So long as they show that since they were publicly reprimanded for a period of 12 years since then or more, they have never gotten in trouble again with the court systems or censured or reprimanded, then they're provided that opportunity where they would be able to serve as visiting judges. This is something that my predecessor in this same seat had also filed and tried to move forward. But as you know, I mean, some of these things take 2 or 3 sessions for them to complete themselves. And so I'm just taking from former state representative Mr. Nevarez's. I'm just taking the baton from him and trying to push this bill forward. And what it will do, yes, it'll help a district judge there in Maverick County, but it'll also again create opportunities, because now that individual will be in a position where if he wants to, he can retire knowing that he can now move to San Antonio or Austin or wherever he wants to and be a visiting judge if he so wants. And what will that do? It'll create opportunities for new young blood from the Maverick County bar members to assume that role as district judges.
I think, yeah, second chances should be awarded to people. I really don't have an opinion. You did mention there's going to be a benefit to a Maverick County a judge, and we'll go ahead and mention Judge Abascal. He was indicted. I'm not gonna bring up on what it was and everything like that. And is there any other judges that may benefit this? Because I mean, to me, if it's something to where it generates enough support, especially with the Texas legislature, I mean, maybe there is the need for that. Maybe we don't have enough judges or what have you. So is there anybody else besides him that would be benefiting in the immediate from this? I mean, or how does that work?
I'm aware that in my predecessors, there were other judges that once the bill was filed, they also sought out and were supportive of the bill. I don't know how many there are, but I know that I'm just taking the baton from what former State Representative Nevarez did and trying to move forward and just to create opportunities for this. But I don't know if it's one, I don't know if it's 100 judges that would benefit from this bill and allow them to sit as visiting judges. And the key is this, that from the date that they were reprimanded or censured, when all that was over, that they can show that for 12 years or more that they have been able to stay out of trouble so that they can be given this opportunity to serve as visiting judges.
And that's a good point. That brings something up to my mind. It may be just a little bit off topic. Do you think there's something in the works for maybe, non-aggravated convicted felons that have convicted, have done some kind of something like this, that, they were convicted of something that's, I want to say non-aggravated, right? Without a weapon and anything like that sort. Do you think that they should be awarded the same kind of, opportunity? Because you do know, I mean, we all know convicted felons, they get their doors closed a lot everywhere.
Yeah.
And a lot of them, I'm not saying, I'm not no one to judge anything, but it did come to mind whenever we're speaking of a judge that has, been publicly reprimanded for doing whatever it was he did. And then you have, us in the community as well, people that may have, done things as well. And it's difficult for them to find jobs. Is that something that maybe you can look into? I mean, I know it's kind of on the fly and like,
no, yeah. And let me tell you, I'm in support of the decriminalization of marijuana, for example. I've signed on to, I think, 3 bills, and there's 3 more other ones that are out there to decriminalize marijuana and hopefully expunge it from their records also. I believe one of at least the 3 bills that I've signed has that language. And so I'm fully supportive of those measures, especially when they're not nonviolent. As prosecutor for 18 years as a city attorney, I always had to fear on those domestic violence cases or those assault cases. If I let them off too easily, would something bigger end up happening, a week, a month, a year later, and then I would be really feeling remorseful over trying to give this individual an opportunity. So when you're talking nonviolent offenses, yeah, I'm supportive of those measures. We also have a way of expunging records that's available now after somebody has served their time. And then I know personally, I have helped a number of individuals who served their time, did everything that was supposed to, did all of their probationary time, and giving them the right to vote back also, and helping them process all of that paper and what office to go to, because many of them don't know. And it's not like when they get out or when they finish probation that they're given papers and told, hey, now you can go vote if you go and register. So the little things like that, I think, will be helpful, and if we can continue down those sorts of practice. But I agree with you. I'm all for on nonviolent offenses, trying to work ways. And one way that I think that I'm doing this is through supporting decriminalization of marijuana legislation.
Okay. Yeah, and again, you said this bill was generated mostly from passing the baton because our former state rep, Poncho Navarez, was in support of something like this for visiting judge, for this bill to happen.
Correct, and I think he did it more than once where it was filed.
Oh, okay.
And remember, he served for, I think it was close to 8 years.
Yeah.
And so I think it was more than once. Don't quote me on that, but yeah, I think this last time, from what I understand, he was very close, and it just didn't pass. But we'll give it a shot again. And again, it's just about creating opportunities, understanding that people need second chances. It wasn't a violent offense, and these people will have to show that they didn't get in trouble 12 years or more after that public reprimand or censure.
All righty.
So we're not making it easy on them either. We're not making it easy. They have to show that they remain consistent and did the right thing.
No, yeah, I agree. We're gonna go ahead and move on to the next one if it's all right with you.
Yes, sir.
It'll probably be the last one since we are running close to an hour. And like I said, we don't want to take too much of your time. But Bill 1688, I believe. I have chicken scratch here. So the Regional Mobility Authority, the
Yes.
creation of this, and this will be the last one.
You're putting me on the spot here. Let me see if I can give it to you in an elevator speech here.
Okay.
The Regional Mobility Authority. Okay, our district is so big. District 74 is so big that I have to sit down with 3 different area district engineers for TxDOT because our district is so big. The El Paso one, the Midland Odessa one, and then the one from Laredo that services Del Rio, Kinney, and Eagle Pass. And in visiting with them to see where they were on projects, what type of funding they needed, what were some of the important issues that the communities had expressed to me to see if they could add it on. And visiting with all that, they gave me this opportunity to establish a regional mobility authority. And what it does is that it allows a county to charge vehicle registration fees, and it could be as small as, it goes from $0, and this bill would allow them to do it all the way up to $20, but they don't have to. I mean, it could be $1, $2, whatever, but just so that they could create a fund that whenever they want to pay attention to one particular roadway improvement, they can do what's called the feasibility study, which is what TxDOT almost always asks counties to provide. So this would create a funding mechanism by which they could get monies so that then they can go and do their feasibility study for that proposed roadway, and then they turn it over to TxDOT and say, here's the feasibility study. It shows you need 5 miles of roadway construction with this type of asphalt, and the estimated costs are XYZ. And that's the first document that TxDOT needs in order for them to then try to put it into their projects and see where they can get funding for it. And so they made it seem to me that those counties out there that would allocate funding for those type of projects, they were much faster in getting to the front of the line and getting funding from TxDOT to complete that project. So that's why I decided let's move forward on trying to establish a regional mobility authority. Because of that, it would give us 1 leg up, 2 legs up. I don't know if you recall, the way that we built the second bridge, the international bridge, the second one, initially, when the presidential permit application was submitted by the city, they were going to put temporary structures on the U.S. side, on the toll booth and where the federal Customs and Border Patrol facilities were going to be all where they check all the vehicles, right, as they come back in from Mexico. And They were just going to be temporary facilities at a cost, I think, of $350,000 or something like that. And then the federal government said, no, if you want us to put you on the top 10 list, Eagle Pass, to get funding, those have to be permanent buildings that the city builds. If you really want that bridge, like, you got to do that. And the city bit the bullet and decided to move forward and go through that expense so that they could get their second bridge. This is no different. If we want to be able to jump to the front of the line on some of this TxDOT funding, we need to establish a regional mobility authority, so it'll be another tool in their toolkit for the county commissioners so that they can then find projects, roadway projects, that they can get their feasibility study done. Hopefully that explains it.
So this funding mechanism, that whenever, you know, it's going to be tagged onto a car permit or what have you.
Vehicle registration.
I'm sorry? Oh, vehicle registration. Yes, yeah. Sorry. It's going to be used directly for the feasibility study, or it's going to be used for projects once this feasibility study is done?
It could be for both, but my recommendation would be use it for the feasibility study. Now, the counties have to work jointly with TxDOT through this process, because TxDOT will be the first one to say, don't go and get a feasibility study from an engineer that has never worked with TxDOT, because they don't know our needs, our specifications. We will give you a list of those engineers that work well with TxDOT, and that's who you can hire to get your feasibility study. And so that's the plan. You got to get it into the right engineer so that they can come up with the right report that TxDOT can look at, and that that engineering firm has experience with working with TxDOT, and they'll feel, okay, those numbers seem pretty accurate, let's move forward. Otherwise, they say, if you just send it to whoever you want to, at the county commissioners send it to whoever they want to, whatever engineer, and we've never had any luck, we're going to look at that. We've never had any prior experience with them. We're going to look at it, and it may be a waste of money that the county goes through. So it's very important. This will only work, and it's very important if the county works jointly with TxDOT and making sure this feasibility. And I think I would opt for the feasibility, Isaac, because then that allows TxDOT to figure out, okay, this costs so much, let's see where we can get funding and implement that as part of our projects. Why have the county spend that money when you can get TxDOT to fund that project?
And you're saying that, let's say, this is a group of counties. It's not going to be one county that's going to dictate how this funding is being spent. Is that correct?
We wanted to form a South Central group that had not been formed. There's other groups all around the state of regional mobility authorities, but we reached out to Valverde, Kinney, I think it was La Salle, Demet, Zavala, and Maverick.
And that's probably going to be what's composed of this regional mobile authority, right?
Every one of those counties needs to adopt the resolution and send it to us. Kinney has sent us theirs, and Maverick County has sent us theirs. The other three, my colleague, State Representative Tracy King, is a representative for those counties. So I was leaving him to move forward on getting those resolutions for those counties.
Okay, awesome. Well, Eddie, I mean, that's pretty much what we came up with. We're hitting about an hour already. Like I said, we don't want to keep you too much time. We thank you for your time and the opportunity to come by, making some time for us, of course. I don't know if there's anything else you'd like to mention about any of the three House bills that we spoke about, in general, or anything else you want to discuss or clarify, or just, say anything to the people watching right now. We have a pretty good crowd watching.
Good. I don't get to see it from here, but I appreciate them. We didn't put them to sleep or anything. Thanks for those. Those are very good questions, and I appreciate you giving me an opportunity also to try to explain some of these issues or dispel some of those rumors that may be out there as to why it was being done one way or the other. Hopefully it puts the people at ease and makes them understand that this is just about creating more opportunities and trying to find new funding resources for the community, because I know how hard it is as a taxpayer there and in Maverick County, as you are and as many of your viewers are. So thank you for giving me the opportunity. I'd be happy to come. I know you gave me a list of like 20, and I was ready to go and talk about all 20 or whatever they were. But hey, man, let's find some more time whenever we can, and I'd be happy. I think this is a good format and an opportunity to keep our constituents informed.
No, absolutely, and I know I was a little bit ambitious in sending you all of those, thinking we'd probably get through all of them. But I mean, we've gone through three. We're about just crossing the hour mark. So from the other lives I've done, I've noticed time just kind of flies on this. So I figured, hey, these are the ones that kind of brought something out, and maybe if you make some more time for us later on, give us some more time to look at the other ones, right? And we'd love to have you on again and see what else we can talk about, or maybe even more in depth into some of these or any other District 74 issues, because Maverick County, City of Eagle Pass, of course, is in the District 74. And this platform, again, as I always say, is created for the people, by the people, and it's to inform the people. So again, we appreciate you coming on and speaking about the issues that we had and about these House bills out there. And any last words?
Yeah, I'd like to invite everybody. The restrictions are still in place here at the Capitol, but they're not that difficult. You have to come in at least 15 minutes ahead of time and go to the north tent. On the north side, there's a tent out there that they'll do a test, a COVID-19 test, and it takes 15 minutes, and you get the results, and then they put a little band on you, and you can come into the Capitol. And that's all that we're asking if people want to come visit the office. So this is your office for everyone that's listening in District 74. If you have an opportunity, come and see it. Come see us at work on the House floor. Also, there's a gallery on the third level where people can see down and how legislation is actually made, how sausage is made, as some people say. But yeah, just an invitation to everyone, all of your viewers, if they want to please contact our office if we can set up a tour for them. Also, they need to give us at least 3-4 days advance notice that they're coming. That way we can make sure that we get somebody that the Capitol has to give them a tour and show them. There's a lot of history, and it's very beautiful. And I wish more of our constituents would take the time to come up here and see how beautiful their Capitol is. And this is, again, it's taxpayer money, man. It's a part of every one of you all that's viewing it. So you have a right to come and see what you have, including our office. And we don't have tortilla chips because now everybody's asking for tortilla chips over here after we gave them as a little gift. We definitely, if you need a water or a Coke or something, we can definitely address that as well.
All right. Well, hey, again, Eddie, thank you for coming by and addressing these. We look forward again to, sometime in the next couple of weeks to maybe schedule another one whenever you have some time. That way we can keep our community informed about what's going on. We hope to branch out a little bit more into the District 74, after this show, hopefully, and keep them informed as well. We did interview Del Rio Mayor, City of Del Rio Mayor last week as well. So we're trying to branch out that way. And, just thanks again for being here, not for the Rising Texan or me or anything like that, but for most importantly, the community.
Great. Thank you, Isaac. I appreciate it, man. You have a good day.
You too. All right, guys. Well, that's all we have for today. Tomorrow, we're going to be waiting to get the results, or not the results, but the public information request that we asked from the City of Eagle Pass. If you follow our page, we did request the campaign finances for Mayor Luis Cifuentes and challenger Councilman Rolando Salinas. So we're going to be looking at their campaign finances that was submitted on April the 1st. We're going to look over that stuff. We're going to bring you guys what's in there, because as taxpayers and as people voting for our next mayor coming up very soon in the next couple of weeks, very important position, we need to know if there's anything, fishy, maybe. Fishy or something, that doesn't look right. And again, like we always do on every live, we want to We want to ask Mayor Luis Fuentes, hey, if you're around, if you're listening, any friends of Mayor Luis Fuentes, any family members of Mayor Luis Fuentes, we've been trying to get in contact with you. We don't know what the issue is, or maybe you've just been too busy, and we understand. Whenever you have some time, make some time for us. I mean, we've been able to get the mayor from the city of Del Rio. We've been able to get our state representative, our Texas state representative from District 74 down here to talk with us a little bit. The community has questions for you, Mayor Cifuentes. The community has questions for you. That's all. That's all I can say. And I hope sometime before this election, you do take the time and give the community the opportunity, not to throw you little softball questions like others may. That's not what we're here about, and I think we showed that in talking with Eddie Morales, our state representative. We showed that in talking with our district attorney, Roberto Serna, and we showed that talking to the city of Del Rio mayor. And that's what we want here. We want to keep our community informed, the people in our community informed. So we love to hear from you, Mayor Cifuentes. We have a lot of questions we'd like to ask. I will say Rolando Salinas has already confirmed with us the candidate for mayor. We will have him on next week's show. So, guys, I want to thank y'all for tuning in. We had a good showing of a steady showing of in the hundreds viewers. So, I mean, again, guys, this platform was created for the community and by the community to keep the community informed. And that's what we're here for, and that's what we're going to do. Again, next week we have Rolando Salinas coming in, mayor for candidate, councilman. And, it's going to be a good timing. We're going to see your campaign finances. So be ready, Rolando Salinas. We're going to be releasing that to our community, our viewers. Let them know, what expenditures are going on, who's contributing to campaigns, and let the community decide with the information, with the correct information, the right information. Let the community decide who the best candidate for mayor is. Okay. And guys, again, as always, we're still here, 65 strong. We had about 100 going steady when our state rep was on. I want to thank you guys. Again, we have an interesting interview coming in next Wednesday. Next Wednesday, we will have Rolando Salinas. Tomorrow, I will be releasing that information as far as the campaign finances. So if you guys want to tune in, we may have a show for that too. At the end of the day, guys, thank you. You guys are the best. You guys are what makes this community go. You guys are the community. And without you guys being here to, I don't want to say hold elected officials accountable, but listen to what they have to say when they're thrown questions that aren't, easy. All right. And that's what we're trying to provide for you guys, a platform where, hey, we're not trying to cater to anybody. What we're trying to do is give you what you want to hear, what you need to hear to make the best decision whenever you go and vote for these people. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to go ahead and end this broadcast. Again, thank you as always. One thing I do want to say, April 17th, Wagon Wheel Saloon is back, guys. So make sure you guys show a lot of love to the people out there, our friends at Wagon Wheel. April 17th, Saloon is turning on, and we're going on. I was out there the other day. They have a nice little lighting scheme. They were getting everything ready, preparing everything, testing all the mics, 1, 2, everything to get that prepared for you guys. So we can get back to a little bit of a normal, back to the normal situation we had pre-pandemic. So a big shout out to Wagon Wheel, supporters of ours, sponsors of ours, Eat Fit, Eagle Pass, Billy Perez. Shout out to him, providing meals for our community. If you're in a slump, can't get the last 10 pounds out of there, you need to hit him up. He's got good meals to keep you energized throughout the day. It will help you guys out. Hit him up on Facebook. Like I said, and I say in many of the advertisements we do for them, is 75% of 70 to 75% of working out, fitness has to do with what you eat. You are what you eat. That is where that saying came from, guys. So visit our good friend Billy Perez with Eat Fit Eagle Pass, and let him help you out in your journey. All right, guys. Well, that's it. If you guys want to donate anything, we have Cash App, the Rising Texan Media. So anything you guys can help us out with, we appreciate it. Again, that goes towards building this platform, providing better equipment to take care, to make everything a little bit better for you guys. Of course, we also had the most recent information request that we had to pay for through the county, so that those funds go straight to that, and we thank you for that. And also one last thing, yes, Albert de la Torre, we will be chatting with him soon, hopefully. And guys, we're continue on this marathon, on this journey for you guys, to find out what's going on here in our community, City of Eagle Pass and Maverick County. So without anything else, thank you guys for showing up. We'll catch you next one.